So let's start with the big story that we are tracking on WION at this hour. And this, of course, has come in from Brazil, where researchers in the country have found that there are some COVID-19 patients who, believe it or not, have been infected with two different strains of coronavirus simultaneously. The researchers say that they are the first in the world to confirm co-infection with two different strains of the coronavirus. The new findings in the research in southern Brazil has concerned a lot of experts about the growing number of variants in the country. Although the study has yet to be published in a scientific journal and so far has not been peer-reviewed. The study has found two patients, both of them in their 30s, that were infected with two different strains of COVID-19 in late November in Rio de Janeiro. The symptoms were reportedly just mild, with dry cough in one case and coughing, sore throat and headache in the second. They did not require any hospitalization, and the cases underscore as to how many variants can actually be circulating in Brazil. Now, this, of course, has raised concerns among scientists that the coexistence of two strains in the same body could actually speed up the process of mutation, throwing up more mutant variants of the coronavirus. The new variants of the coronavirus increase the risk of transmissibility and also possible resistance to vaccines that are being rolled out. Now, there are two known COVID variants that have been detected in Brazil so far. All right, now to give us more insights, we're joined in by virologist from the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, Professor Amos Panet, is joining us live from Jerusalem. Doctor, let me begin by asking you this. This is something that is being said has been detected for the first time, where a single patient has been infected with two different mutant strains of the virus. What are we to understand by this?
Well, this is quite expectedly because there are many strains of virus, of the CoV-2 virus, which are circulating in Brazil now. And we know from previous experience that patients who were infected with the virus several months ago can come again and be infected with the same virus. So our immune system do not resist completely reinfection. What is worrying now is that in fact two strains of virus can come one after the other, and they are corrected in saying that a virus can change more rapidly now, because if two different strains infect the same patient, then they can recombine one with the other. So it's not only mutation, but also recombination, which is another factor in changing the virus, and in fact doing it much more rapidly than by just simple mutations. So we should worry now about many strains of viruses which are circulating around the world. And of course it will affect now our ability to travel from one country to the next, because each country will be very reluctant to admit patients or infected people from other countries, bringing new mutations and new recombinations to the population. So this is very worrisome also in respect to the vaccination. We know already that the South African mutant is less sensitive to the antibodies which are made by the coronavirus vaccines, the Moderna and the Pfizer vaccines. So we are having now a new level of problems, that we haven't seen before, and we should expect, in the next year to view more and more of these problems.
The obvious question that of course comes up is that both Pfizer and Moderna have claimed that their vaccines are still effective against the British mutant variant of the coronavirus. Now, what we are now witnessing is that there could be more mutant strains of these viruses against which these vaccines that are being rolled out may not be effective.
Yeah, I wouldn't say not effective, but will be less effective. So if they said at the end of their clinical study that their vaccines are 95% effective, it may go down to 60%, but it will be similar to the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine, which to begin with have claimed only 85% effectiveness. So these companies, all of the companies in fact, will have to update their vaccines. And probably by next year, we'll have to revaccinate again with a new version of the vaccine. And it could happen to be like the influenza vaccine, that we have to get revaccinated every year because of changes in the structure of the virus, which are coming to us every winter. So if this is the case, it's perhaps kind of something which is feasible to happen, and it would be like the influenza vaccine.
Right, that's an interesting point that you make there. And just before we let you go, Professor, now there are all kinds of wild theories that are doing the rounds, but some people have said that with more mutation in the virus, it could be that the virus could, become slightly less deadly than its predecessor. Is that how mutation of these viruses takes place?
Yeah, we know it from many other viruses that as time is going, with the coexistence of the virus in human, so that the virus become less and less pathogenic. And we know it for many viruses. Even for the AIDS virus, there are claims now that the virus is less pathogenic than the virus when it came from Africa 40 years ago. So let's hope that the same would be happening with the coronavirus, and slowly it will adjust to humans and become less pathogenic. But it's just now a hope.
Absolutely.
We haven't seen it yet.
Absolutely, indeed. That of course, is something that people would prefer is indeed true. Thank you very much indeed, Professor Amos Panett, for joining us all the way from Jerusalem and getting us all those insights there.